I really want to open the floor out for questions now.
Well, just on that, I'm going to be arranging some sessions at Hale Library. I've got some computers, so if anyone's really struggling on that, we'll look some dates in the future. A Wednesday evening, when you can come along and the people there just to show you how to go through the technical process, signing up on their websites and we'll look some dates.
Right, so can we start with the people, the gentleman there, and then here, and the lady here, and the councillor. These are the four I know you need to address first. Please go ahead.
Thank you for this fantastic meeting. It looks very obvious that our safety has been compromised by the funds cut for the police forces. And our MP reassured us that there would be some funding rise. So the question is that funding would be enough, you think, to get the police forces working efficiently in our area? Do we know how much funding is there?
Well, the commitment is for 20,000 more police officers nationally. And obviously Greater Manchester Police is one of the bigger national forces, so we would expect to have a significant uplift in police numbers as a result of that. I mean, I think it's worth saying, in fairness, my conversations with very senior police officers over the years, I'm not going to look at our two friends here and put them on the spot, but I think some of the reduction that happened earlier on in the period was absorbed quite well by efficiency gains, and that's something I've heard back from senior police officers. So in my sense, it started to tip probably about 5 or 6 years ago that it became obvious that it was more of a problem, and so I'm very pleased, and I'm pleased that Councillor Freeman also welcomed it. This has been heard. It has been an issue, but I come back again to say it's not just the overall amount; it's us getting our fair share of the Greater Manchester cake as well, which comes down to all of the effort that you are making and the efforts that we can make in the council of making sure that we speak up for our fair share.
Thank you. Gentleman here.
Thank you. Thank you for taking my question. I've lived like this gentleman in Hale for the last 32 years, and over the years I've forgotten to look at my back door, forgotten to lock my car in the drive, and I felt ever so safe about it. This year, since the murder, my wife walks around in the village on her own when I'm out and about playing golf or whatever, but in the whole sense of feeling insecure, fearful, is growing. Khalid is my neighbour who's just been speaking. We have now, or we are going to join the WhatsApp group which has been established around High Elm Drive and High Elm Road. So we are going to join because we do believe in what we've heard this afternoon so far. Now, something the sergeant said earlier on, and it seemed, but I can see where you're coming from. It seems as if you were putting more and more of the onus on the house owners to make their properties more and more secure. And I think rightfully we should take some responsibility for our own safety and our own security. Granted, I go back many years when mortise locks and your windows, the type of bolts you put on your doors, you just have a bolt, one at the top and bottom. And that, after a while, wasn't good enough for the insurance company. We need to have 7 bloody pieces of doing the door, whatever it is. So we heard about the last lady saying about what they've got. You were talking about sensors and lights coming on and all stuff like that. Would it be useful for perhaps yourselves, who are experts, to say to us formally, look, this, if you like, is a menu of things that perhaps you should consider doing. This, and this will give you a fairly good basic.
You do already.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't know anything about that.
If you've got your home watch group and you want Simon to come down, and that's the reason I moved him from working somewhere else to Hale, because of his interest around home security, and he really is very good.
Well, this is one thing. This meeting is useful because I'm sure not everybody here is versed with all these gadgets and technology. So it would be beneficial for us if you guys could come up and say this is something you guys
can do.
Even to a
street community, rather than Simon having to go around 10 different houses, we can have, your street club meeting, and Simon can then come talk you through all of that in one go.
You just heard that some WhatsApp groups are being set up. It would be beneficial to tap into those WhatsApp groups and say to them, look guys, you've got WhatsApp groups, you've got these home securities, whatever it's called. We are going to put on demonstrations, or we're going to put on the teaching sessions for you. Come to this location, and I'm sure we'd all turn up because we are concerned for our safety.
We can do it either way. We can have meetings and invite people along, or individual schemes can say, can Simon come down and just sort of,
Whichever.
we can do both ways.
I think we had a session where we had PCS or Simon come and talk to the community. We had it in the hub near Sainsbury's. I'm happy to do more. But we just need champions, because locally you're your champion, so people can take the lead. Sorry, lady here.
I think I might be coming from a slightly different angle. I was just general point. I'm kind of extremely worried because I think a lot of this comes from divisions in our society. I mean, it seems to be getting worse and worse. I think it's really interesting what you said, Superintendent, about youth workers going out and kind of building bridges with these, these others that are out there, because they're people, they're part of our society, and also the community sentencing seems to be some way of kind of, showing that we're all part of one thing. We are the lucky ones. We live in an amazing place, really. So my question is really to Sir Graham for some reassurance in the long-term view that it's not just us against them. It's not just about us putting up, living in fortresses. It's about what's happening in the local communities. My niece lives in Germany. She pays something like €3 a month to play hockey, however many times a week. What is happening in these local communities to kind of take off that energy, because they've got a very aggressive energy out there, and it isn't just all they're bad, we're good. That energy is there for a reason. I couldn't help noticing with the statistics that it's March and August that it peaks, which is school holiday times. What's happening with youth clubs, where I feel sort of worried when it becomes more and more about us separating ourselves from the other people out there. So I really just asking you for some reassurance.
Yeah, well, I think it's an important point. I guess there is there's always a bit of a perception. Not necessarily so much here, as I think sometimes people looking at Altrincham and Sale tend to think that we are a uniformly affluent and privileged area. And in fact, I would say to people, my constituency probably covers about as big a social and economic spectrum as any you'd find outside Kensington, maybe. We go from a couple of the wealthiest wards in the north of England to what we used to call Manchester Overspill Council Estate. And there is a very, very broad spectrum. And within that, there are pockets as well. And so we're not just looking at problems that are somewhere else, and we're not just looking at people who commute here to commit crimes. And there are, as you say rightly, there are things that need to be done to make life better for everybody. And I do think that there, and I think especially with some of the local community sports clubs, there are some tremendous things being done involving a huge number of young people. And one of the things which is very nice about that is it's not just in the immediate area. So, I take an interest in lacrosse, not a sport I've ever played, but because it's locally a very important sport. Timpley Lacrosse Club, for instance, they've got quite a reach out into other areas of South Manchester. They get a lot of people involved in their youth team, and that goes for a lot of the other sports clubs as well as some of the other community activities.
My question would really be, how much is it? I mean, I've got 2 kids, and I know how much sports clubs cost. We're very lucky we can afford them. But we're talking about people who, my son got mugged last Friday. 2 guys, he was walking down the street with his friend, 5 guys jumped on top of them.
Yeah.
Those guys aren't getting the nice sports clubs that my kids are getting.
No, but as I say, we are getting a lot of kids from less privileged areas coming into those clubs, and I think there's quite a lot of support for it.
So that's a fact.
Yes,
Nice to
yes,
start
yeah.
as well, because we've bid for funding, so we've got £300,000, which some of which is going on outreach workers working with young people, some of it is going on training, but there is also projects around sports, there's also a project around music, so we're trying to kind of use it in a creative way to try
So that is being built up, because that's what
Yes.
I need to know. I sort of, my perception has been with austerity that has all been cut back.
Yeah.
I need to know it has.
It has.
So it's a surprise what we are witnessing. So I really need this reassurance, and it needs to go in the press that the youth workers, the community sentencing, or everything that you're saying about reaching out.
I think what we need is that recognition that it is multi-causal as well, and it would for us in a violence reduction coordinator, that person will sit within public health, so we're trying to take a much more holistic approach.
So you have faith that we're not just battening down.
The evidence of what works, if you look at the Glasgow approach, and we know that evidence shows that the approach in Glasgow has worked in reducing violent crime, and that's something we're looking to emulate. You've got to look at best practice. There's no point in reinventing the wheel, and to have a public health approach to knife crime is far more advantageous, and investing in youth projects and in engagement, and that's, I think we're all very excited and connected on that. And the Home Office are coming up to Trafford on Wednesday this week to look at what we're doing, because they're excited about our approach.
Right.
So we are. I'm not saying we're there, but we're getting there. And the fund has been released yesterday, so we can start drawing down on those funds and have some legacy stuff. Because again, I'm really keen that we don't just have the way funding is. And this is a frustration. Is the way funding is administered. It's very short term, small amounts. We need sustainable funding that creates a legacy, and I think that's a challenge to
And we also have in
both
Trafford,
politicians.
Trafford Junior Neighbourhood Watch, which was started by a resident over in my ward in Selmore, Graham Rowe, and he's built this up, and he's been into schools doing things on knife crime, antisocial behaviour, and with children, and this has now been taken up, and it's been taken up by yourselves, isn't it, to move it forward, because Graham is now in his 70s and step back. So there has been work going on right across a number of schools. Oldham College of Arts was one of the schools that he went into. Lots of the primary schools right across Sale Broadheath. He was in at Woodhays, he's been in at Springfield, he's been in at Sale High. So it is happening, and this work's been going on in the background. And now we've got some money, and it's going to be taken on board.
It needs long-term investment.
Yeah,
That's what I'm asking for from you, Sir Graham. It's really your vision long-term.
Can I just sorry, I am the leader of a community centre, and there is lots of funding out there, and I mean hundreds of thousands of pounds. The difficulty we have is volunteers. So there are, you can put on sports clubs, we put on activities for people. Who turns up? The children who go to the paid clubs. The children who go to... So it's getting the balance right. It's all good and well saying let's put something on for people who are... I live in one of the deprived wards. Biggest ward, Broadheath, the biggest ward in Trafford. You know, who are the people who come to these things? The people who come to them.
But the youth work will engage to understand what the young people want and need.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Not everybody's into sport, are they?
Exactly.
Not everybody supports Manchester United or Manchester City. So some DJing and using music positively, so not the drill stuff which we all hear about, but music is a powerful connector for young people.
Brilliant. And
how to use that positively. We do some work, and the Director of Children's Services in Trafford and I are meeting with a chap who's got a project that wants to get it into Trafford. So it's looking at what the young people want.
Exactly.
We all have our adult spin on what we think the young people want. And we're not cool, are we?
Right, really sorry. We are over time, and we still have 4 people wanting to ask questions. Can I please request that you keep your questions really short, and the answers are equally crisp and short, please. We are over time. I'm
You
really
make a great
sorry.
speaker, right?
Can I have the gentleman over there, please?
Thanks. It picks up. This actually connects a little bit with the comment about inequality and the deeply entrenched divides in society. But at the same time, knife crime has become all pervasive, as we really sadly know. And all of our young family members are in schools, because it's a problem at every school. They're all in schools where there are people being drawn into knife crime, feeling they need to carry them self-defence, or being drawn into knives and drugs, which we know are completely intertwined as well. So our children, our family members and their friends are seeing how their peers are being pulled down that route. And sadly, they're the ones who are now becoming, in a way, the experts on this. So my question is, I look around the room and I say, where are they? Is this incredible generational divide that we seem to have with who's here wanting to tackle the problem and the people who are becoming the victims of the problem, is this the right way to be approaching it? Or shouldn't we have those young people in the room with us?
Exactly, that's why I'm doing a summit.
Yeah, so Nicholas will tell you that.
I will tell you in a minute.
Okay, so, sorry, the lady over there was asking.
So I'm asking a question on behalf of my community. I'm Denise Haddad, I'm your local Hale Central Conservative Councillor, and along with my other two colleagues and my colleague here from Hale Barnes, we're working with Be Safe and the police in partnership. We've brought groups together from the community to be an independent advisory group to the police, and we're having these meetings. And one such question that's come from this meeting to the council is, would you be happy, thank you for the cameras that you are going to provide that we've asked for, the 2 cameras, but we're asking you, would you provide some more CCTV for our local communities? And in conjunction with that, would you do a public consultation within our communities to ask people where they would like them placed? Because obviously we're listening to you, you don't feel safe. We know that there are roads that the police call the rat runs, where the cars go, and recognition, more CCTV, 5G CCTV that can be placed anywhere would be very welcomed. Please could you provide that for us?
So we're having a review of the CCTV system for a while, and we'll be upgrading all of the cameras which will go back to the control room. So as part of that we will be looking at the positions of cameras and the effectiveness of the ones that are already in situ. So that will also give us greater capacity to link in more cameras in the future in terms of just the technology behind that. So that's something we're looking at, and we're happy to do that in consultation with.
Have we got some time frames for that? Because obviously this is imminent. We don't want this to be a 12-month project where, it doesn't happen for our local residents. We want to see, obviously all our residents and ourselves want to see some immediate action.
I mean, as I say, we're putting in the 2 as a short-term measure, and we're currently in the process of recruiting somebody that's going to kind of technically oversee that project. I don't know off the top of my head what the timescales would be for that project to be completed. I can find out and come back to you.
Thank you.
If you pass on your details.
Thank you. Thank you.
We've got 2 last questions, and can we then close the session? But you can always stay behind, and if our invitees, special invitees, can stay behind to continue chatting with you. Can you get here and gentlemen there, please?
I just want to say knife crime is very rife at the moment, and I want to take this opportunity, first of all, to all the information you've been saying is vital, very important. But yes, we're looking at youth, that's the whole idea. We're doing a summit, it doesn't have to happen, with the Dean of Manchester Cathedral on the 15th of October. It's a candlelight vigil, that's the vigil, for all people that have lost anybody that they know or feel sorry or are worried about their families. It starts at 6:30 on the 15th of October, and there'll be food served, and there will be people there like Jade, Debbie, who lost their son, and other people that have been offenders who have reformed, and they can tell the story from the other side, young people. And I just think it's important for me to tell you this today, because knife crime is very important, and what is very important is also hate crime. We shouldn't run away and pretend not to speak about it. We should face it, because if we faced it, we can do something about it. If we move away from it, it'll become more and more. So we should face it. Brexit hasn't helped, but we should. That's all I want to say is, please don't forget to give Please don't forget the 15th of October. We need you there. We need you there at 6:30 to show we can take a charge of this, and we can make a difference in this society.
Where is this?
It's at the Manchester Cathedral in Manchester. The Dean of I'm doing it with the Dean of Manchester. So it's United We Stand, and I have my own site, United We Stand, which is related to you completely, and that's about United We Stand Against Knife Crime. Anybody who wants to join, ask Rahil, she'll give you the information, and all the information of that comes onto there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I just say something? I've been a magistrate in Manchester Bench for many, many years, but unfortunately they retired me at 70. What I'm surprised about today is there's been very little spoken about drugs. Now, my grandkids, and they go through a spectrum of 3 major schools, no names mentioned. The drug scene is so big. I say to my 16-year-old, I said, what's the situation? And she knew the people that were involved in this local murder. And she turned around, she said, it's everywhere. My eldest grandchild was offered a mango something drug. Don't know what it was. He says, I don't like mango, thank God. But the reason why I'm bringing this up, these are 3 schools, not at the lower end of the spectrum, right? They're at the top end of the spectrum. My middle granddaughter, who goes to another school, which is part of these 3, I said, I hope you're not taking drugs or you're involved or what. She said, no, but she said, it's all around me. So the question that I put into our lovely police here, and I know you're doing a great job. I've worked with the Manchester Police Force for many, many years as a magistrate, right? What, is there an extra effort being made at the school end, because those drugs are being sold by within school, so as I understand?
So this is why I've appointed PCSOs to primary and beat officers to secondary schools to link in with the school nurse. We can only act on information and intelligence we receive, and actually I certainly wouldn't want to criminalise children, and I think that's an important thing that we need to understand the reasons why and the preventative element, because I think sometimes if we criminalise young people, we need to prevent them from taking drugs. So we have got a plan. We're reliant on the information, but I hope, I include schools in part of that solution. Again, I think this meeting has shown the importance of the responsibility, the community responsibility. Some parents will put £10 on the breakfast table to allow their children to purchase drugs. My son's 13 and goes to a local high school, and we have conversations about who's carrying knives, who's got drugs. So I absolutely, and it's as a parent of 2 kids, I absolutely get it. We clearly we need to deal with the people who are pushing the drugs. Often it's the children themselves. We have a criminal exploitation team at Stretford Police Station. So the higher end, it's a twin track approach. So it's the support and the nurturing, and as John said earlier about that, making it uncool to have drugs. Now, I'm not sure. I mean, drugs have been around forever and a day, haven't they? The Beatles sang about LSD, didn't they, and things like that. It's just different kinds of drugs. So I don't think drugs, it's not, I think because of social media, things are talked about far more now.
Thank you so much. Sorry, there's some questions.
There's one question from the audience. So recently there was some arrests, there's 7 people arrested, and all of them got released afterwards. So the community just wants to know what needs to be so that they are not released, and because the community helped to find those people and got them arrested. So just want to know, please.
So of some of those people, recently we have had people arrested and remanded in custody. They're charged, and it's based on the evidence that we've got at the time. So some people are released on bail, some people are released under investigation, some people are remanded into police custody. So we've had a mixture of, so not everybody is just released. Some people have quite stringent conditions to report back. to the police station, we can check them on their doorstep, we can give them curfews. Again, it has to be proportionate, and we're governed by human rights, and it depends on the strength of evidence against them, what they've been arrested for, and then we can put bail conditions on them to limit their activities. But the officers have to come to me to extend that bail, and within that I have to consider proportionality, necessity, and for burglars, absolutely, they should be on bail with restrictions. I can't ban them from every street in Trafford, but I can certainly put a map, an area to prevent them entering. And and that's where we have to work within a legal framework. We don't have those abilities because of human rights and liberties. So we would have another set of people up in arms if we tracked everybody. We do track some people if they've been convicted and they're released into the community. But in order to track people, that is deemed to be a deprivation of a person's liberty.
Are the kids off going near that chap?
That's not within our legal framework. That would require significant legislation.
We need to get down the street.
Right.